Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Clubhouse Weekly. I am David Robinson, my co-host Anthony Johnson. We're going to do a little normal recap, projections, getting deep into the season here. It's actually a pretty balmy night. We dealt with some snow this week. We dealt with some chilly weather, icy roads, all that crap. Anthony, what's one thing that frustrates you the most about the first snowfall of the year?
I'm not expecting it, so I'm wearing a t-shirt and like a light jacket and no gloves, no hat or anything like that. So I come out of work, I go into work, there's no snow. I come out of work, there's like 6 inches, and
Right.
I'm now scraping off my truck
Right.
in a light jacket.
Well, it's like, do I even have the snow scraper in my car anymore? If I put it back in there,
Did I put some
Right.
ice up in my gas tank so that my truck will actually start? I do have an older vehicle, so
Right.
it's,
For me, it's definitely like the people just forget how to drive in the snow. It's it's frustrating, folks. Really, I don't know how everybody after 6-7 months of no snow, everybody forgets how to drive in the snow. And everybody's driving 10 miles an hour, or they're driving too fast, or they're driving too slow, and there's accidents everywhere. And it's like, what the hell? We have 2 inches of snow, people. Let's go.
Let's move it.
Yeah.
There is, fun fact, I guess, has been 739 deaths in Michigan this year due to automobile accidents. I wonder how many of those were added on yesterday due to the snowy weather.
I don't even know if many people die in them. It might not be a bad thing if some the dumb drivers went bye-bye.
Hate to say it, but I think he's right.
I don't know. I'm not that worried about it myself. But at the end of the day, if people get in accidents when it's snowy out, they're probably driving 5 miles an hour anyways.
Yeah, it's true. It's usually the people who are being way too cautious that end up in the wrecks.
Right. So anyway, why don't we go right into Week 11 recap. Let's see what happened here at in the Clubhouse League. Let's start there at the bottom. What do we have, Anthony?
Well, we got Brad versus Jamie this week. We got Eat My Dust versus Django 8 and Brady. And, this it was kind of a blowout.
Yeah. We were probably wrong about this one. We usually like Brad's team. Brad stacked at wide receiver. We've got a situation where who did he end up sitting last week?
He sat newcomer Mike Evans.
Yeah, so he sits the rookie Mike Evans, who goes off for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 35 big fantasy points. Wouldn't have made the difference for him, but might make a difference tiebreak-wise, that kind of thing, point-wise, when it comes to the end of the season. But really, it's actually an interesting dilemma to have.
Yeah.
It's past the trade deadline, so Brad can't pull one of those moves where I have depth and I can trade something away. He has to stick with these 4 receivers he has: Calvin, Alshon Jeffrey, Julio Jones, and Mike Evans. And going into next week, it'll be interesting when we go through what we think, who we think we should sit. Where did Jamie get her? Where did she make her hay? Because she puts up 128 big points.
We talked about Brad's wide receiving core. Now we have to talk about Jamie because that's where all of her points. Calvin Benjamin, Brandon Marshall, and is it Andre Hawkins?
Yeah, the Andrew Hawkins from
the Browns.
Cincinnati. Was it? Oh,
yeah.
Did he play for the Browns?
Yeah.
Oh, he does. That's interesting. Another Brown that duo of Jamie and Daunting Baines is playing. They like their Browns.
Yeah, but that is where really all of her points came, all way over projected.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Eddie Lacy. You can always rely on him.
My goodness. Those Green Bay Packers, we actually analyzed that game a bit last week on Weekly, and you're definitely a little off the mark there on that Philly Packers.
I don't know what's all about that game.
Well, really, are the Packers just that good?
I think that they are a team that when they have momentum, they know how to carry it, and that's what we're seeing. They blow out, what was it, Cincinnati or Chicago 2 weeks ago? Chicago. Yeah, goes into the Philly game, and it looks like it's going to be another, it was a blowout, but it looked like it almost was going to be a shutout.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. They seem like a team that when they get up, they know how to put their foot on the throat of the opponent.
Yeah.
And they don't let the other team back in. They don't let their foot off the gas. You got Aaron Rodgers up 35 points, still slinging touchdown passes.
Yep.
Which you got to love if you're an Aaron Rodgers lover. Let's talk about her receiving core real quick. Like you said, Brandon Marshall, Hawkins, and Calvin Benjamin. We've called it here on week in and week out. Somebody she starts, and it looks like she's finally listening to us.
About time.
And she's Hawkins plugging in now because. Well, I think, maybe last week I probably would have started Larry Fitzgerald if I was her. But going into this week now, Larry Fitzgerald, sprained MCL. Definitely questionable. Game time decision tomorrow. Andrew Luck puts up another decent performance for her. Really up and down, shaping into a roster that could win a playoff game.
Yeah, it looks like she may. If
she gets up to 5-6, Brad falls to 6-5. Jamie still definitely has to count on getting some victories, to try and get in. But if she's in, she could do some damage. Brad, a team that definitely solid in, and we feel comfortable with this squad.
Yeah, we definitely do.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup, Anthony.
Our next one is Roger McFreely, Suzanne versus Miles.
What a stinker.
Yeah, I mean, Miles is going to keep pulling these little wins out.
Man, what a stinker.
But it's going to come down to if he does get into that, that playoff contention, that he's not going to have the points.
Well, I think he's actually still pretty close. I mean, it's something he's going to have to pay attention to on both fronts. He needs to pay attention to wins and points. Miles gets to 4-7. Suzanne, she's done. We knew she's done. She's just hoping to play spoiler for somebody. Miles doesn't get huge days on anybody, but when you play somebody only puts up 78 points, you're probably going to pull out a victory. Not a whole lot I want to talk about with this matchup other than AJ Green finally shows up.
That's about time. Roddy White also does this.
Roddy White, a player who quietly over the last few weeks, I think that, we've kind of talked, and we've talked with Brad, who owns Julio Jones, and how he's a little bit down on Julio. And part of the reason being is that Roddy White's been kind of a main target there, kind of finding a little bit of the mojo that he had a few years ago with Matty Ice.
So, I think it's in due time. You see that offense slowly shifting the ball around. So I don't think either player is going to see a huge drop-off in numbers.
Right. But it's starting to shift around, and I think Atlanta gets a big win last week. I mean, you want to talk real quick about that NFC South? I mean, just a garbage division. The Falcons now find themselves in control of that division at 4-6.
Yeah,
you've got the Saints at 4-6. You've got the Panthers at 3-7-1, and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 2-8, but yet they find themselves only 2 games out, of the playoffs. I mean, what a dumpster fire of a division. However, one of those teams is going to get in. Not only are they going to get in, whoever wins the division is going to host a playoff game. Interesting. I mean, really interesting. And, I think the thing, we're talking about how it's a dumpster fire, but I mean, really, Atlanta and New Orleans are 2 teams that, over the past few years, I mean, you never would count them out of any game they've played.
No, you definitely. They both are a team that you expect to at least be close or be on top.
Exactly. I mean, you would never be shocked if Atlanta or New Orleans went anywhere and beat any team in the NFL.
Yes, I totally.
So, I mean, that's going to be a dangerous play for whoever draws them in the first round of the NFL playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think, Anthony? Who's going to win that division at the end of the year?
I think overall, I think the Saints are going to be able to pull it back. I just see a stronger offense now. They got Mark Ingram back, who's been amazing since
that's interesting.
Coming back off the injury, Jimmy Graham, Drew Brees is always good, and you start seeing some of the other players coming about, like Marquise Colston, not what he's used to be, but he's starting to be start getting those average points.
Well, man, that's what we hope for. I mean, if you're a Saints fan, that's what you hope for. And I mean, I find it. I would classify myself as a bit of a Saints fan. And I know that team has been too good for too long. I mean, we kind of almost have had the Saints in the same bracket as like the Patriots or the Packers, as a team that we can count on being good every year. Yeah. And we just haven't had the results this season. We've seen them struggle, some costly turnovers. They lose that Lions game with a turnover. There's been other instances, losing at home. They've lost 2 straight games at home. I've got to go with you. I'm with you there, though. I think the Saints end up pulling off that division, and I think that the Saints actually pull off that division, and I'm calling it right in here, right now, at Week 12 in the NFL, that if the Saints win their first playoff game, if they host it at home. Yeah. And it might be a team like the Lions that end up having to go down there if they're the wild card. Could be interesting. Not much else to say there. I mean, one thing interesting is just, I think the only question that comes out of this matchup, Miles gets his win. Is he going to be able to parlay it into a playoff berth? We'll have to wait and see. Let's move on to the next matchup, Anthony.
Our next matchup is Jay Rowan versus Amanda, and I think we called this last week.
We did. I mean, Jay Rowan just doesn't show up. I mean, his team's bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally
Jimmy Graham, Russell Wilson,
and Philly's defense on a good day, not against Green Bay.
Oh, yeah. No, you wouldn't want to. I mean, they play Philly's defense. They actually put up a point in our league. Wow. Yeah. Most leagues are in negative territory with a game like that. Really, we're starting, Andre Holmes, Harry Douglas at wide receiver. You're in trouble. Win in 2014. Reggie Wayne is your number 1 receiver.
Yep.
That's trouble. He picks up Mark Sanchez. I don't hate it.
Oh, I'm biased, of course. But know where he's going to go with the ball.
But he kind of makes a tough decision there. He has Russell Wilson on his bench.
Yeah, and but I think that's going to be something that he will be able to play the matchup because now I'm not going to give up on Philly's offense. I think that
of course
they
not.
just got to find
But we've talked about it before, Anthony. I mean, is that roster spot really best used on Mark Sanchez when you have Russell Wilson, who's somebody that you could could close your eyes and start Russell Wilson every week, and nobody can say, "Hey, you're an idiot."
No, we talked about Russell Wilson being in that top 5 quarterbacks earlier this year.
Yeah, maybe we were a little bit off. Maybe he's not a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Certainly, top 10 fantasy quarterback every week.
Yes.
There's no other way to look at it. You get up early on Sunday morning and you watch Fantasy Football Weekly on ESPN. Russell Wilson's in the top 10
Oh, yeah,
of projected points every week. So, this is a guy that's running for 75 plus yards every week. Scoring a touchdown on the ground pretty much every other week. Setting rushing records for quarterbacks in the NFL. And I really think that roster spot could be used wisely in other places, to be quite honest. Where does Jerome end up finding himself then? What's his record right now?
He is 5-6.
5-6 bad on points, right?
Yes, he's bad on points. He is in that 8th spot right now.
So I think the crucial question here is, where do you think he ends up at the end of the year? 10th. Yeah, I think he's outside looking in as well. I've said it multiple times here on Weekly, and I'm going to stick to it. However, if he pulls off a win this week, next week, I think that, I don't know, he might have to pull off 2 wins. Because I know 6 and 7 is going to get in. Yeah. I don't know. His 6 and 7, if other teams win, there's a possibility he could be 6 and 7 on the way out. So I think he has one of the worst point totals in the league outside of Team DB.
And I think it's DB, his other team, and then him.
Yeah, so he's not winning.
That's why I see him at 10.
He's not winning any tiebreakers. And then Amanda's team, and you know what? Honestly, Amanda's running into some good luck here.
Yeah.
She doesn't put up a huge week. She puts up that 100-point week, but you know what you do when you put up 100 points? You make somebody else beat you.
Yeah,
and clearly, Jerome fell 40 points short of beating her this week. We've got that double-headed monster at running back that we talk about ad nauseum. Do you ever really want to go up against Le'Veon Bell and Marshawn Lynch?
Nope.
Do you want to talk about Marshawn Lynch a little bit this week?
Nope. Yes and no.
No. Really, you hear about this whole incident last week at the game? Where they're in Kansas City last week. Marshawn's banged up, right? He's got a hammy problem. He's been playing hurt. There's been all the drama about his contract and this and that. We've kind of touched on it a bit on the show. And Marshawn doesn't even go into the locker room at halftime.
Doesn't want to?
No, he said he couldn't walk.
Oh.
His hamstring was too tight, so he stayed on the sidelines in Kansas City where it was like 15 degrees and stuff.
I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, he's just going to stay there. I don't buy it. And he didn't talk to the media after the game. Marshawn's got some issues.
When Percy Harvin got traded.
Yeah, that's like his best player.
Yeah, so why would you go to the locker room if it's just going to cause more trouble than it's worth?
I would because.
To stay warm, I would just I'd go hang out with a fan and eat a pretzel.
I don't know. Maybe you got to go to the bathroom. I don't know. Get some Gatorade. Get warm. Yes. These are reasons why I would go to the locker room. Maybe even act like I'm paying attention to what the coaches are telling me.
They didn't set them, so I guess it really doesn't matter.
That's the one interesting thing here is a lot of times when I'm playing fantasy and I see hear about and I'll touch upon it a little bit right now. Is that I picked up Jonas Gray this week, right? All right, and that was the big waiver wire pick of the week because he goes off for a huge day, and we'll talk about whoever, whatever. We'll get to the New England game, but Jonas Gray goes off for a huge number. I'm fortunate enough to pick him up on waivers, somebody that I might actually look to play here in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Jonas Gray shows up 5 minutes for Patriots practice yesterday. You want to know what Belichick does?
Tells him to go home.
Yeah.
See, that's what I like. That's not the first time Stephen Ridley did it earlier this year. Yeah. Showed up 7 minutes late for practice.
Yeah.
And told him to go home.
Yeah. Go home. So, in a situation like that, with New England, when somebody flunks up,
there's just too many.
I would just never. Now I can't even play Jonas Gray. I want to drop him because it's you're in bad with Belichick. You're screwed up.
Yeah, there's way too many good players on that New England squad.
And there's good players in Seattle. But I guess what I'm saying is that Marshawn's been kind of a cancer in that locker room, from the outside looking in. Okay?
Yeah, well, that's what they say. And usually, Percy Harvin.
And usually the perception is the reality when it comes to fantasy because you'll start to see that guy lose carries. That's just not the case for Marshawn. They're just
they're just going to keep handing the ball because he does do work no matter what his attitude is out the field.
Here you go. Anyways, Amanda moves up to 5 and 6. Good on points. We see her as a playoff team and a playoff team that I'm trying to avoid in the first round at all costs. This is pretty sweet out here. Really, we're on the patio here at Clubhouse BFD, and kudos to our ownership and the money that was invested to put this together because it's pretty badass out here.
Yeah, I would chill out here.
The fire pits. Really, it's about 45 degrees out here, and it's really not cold at all. We've got a nice fire behind us. I mean, definitely a place you could just.
You guys want to see it?
Yeah, I mean,
there's 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how much. These things probably cost like $10,000 a piece. It's crazy.
I don't know how much.
Maybe more. Right, who knows? But no, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, really, it's a great place to hang out. I mean, and it's one of our head sponsors. So I mean, I definitely want to give them a nice plug whenever we can.
Yeah, I'm not wearing mine.
Yeah. Anyways, next matchup is
DB versus the Get Money team.
Gosh, no, these are just two teams going in opposite directions.
Well, both teams, I think we're going to find outside the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't have to spend that much on it. We can say that I don't know where DB's. I mean, okay, hold on. Jamal Charles. That's enough said. Is pulling out these numbers.
Yeah.
Because, the past 3 weeks he's put up $110, $115, now $126.
Well, I think if DB actually put some effort into his team, I mean, here's a guy that definitely could use Jonas Gray, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he there's been running backs out there all year long. I mean, his second running back situation is just atrocious.
Well, now we got Josh Gordon coming back this week.
Yeah. I mean, and, when we get to his projections,
and
I actually think he has...
Tate not playing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, whatever. He's playing that Crowell kid. That's his second running back right now. So he's actually benefiting from Ben Tate being in Minnesota all of a sudden. However, like this week, going into next week, I know for a fact when we get there that we're going to see Ruben Randall starting over Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. I mean, if you've had Josh Gordon and wasting a roster spot
freaking start him
for 11 weeks, how do you
better
not
start
play him? This is when you'd be like, guys, I got the trump card. I'm playing it.
Yeah.
You're holding the ace of spades, but you're not going to play it. So it's interesting. We hate Jay Cutler, but Jay Cutler puts up a good week last week. Exactly. I would have just walked into Bears practice facility on Monday and fired him.
I would start.
Odell Beckham Jr. I like that.
I like him.
He's a stud. Yeah. He's going to be I think Odell next year, top probably first 3-4 rounds fantasy wise.
Yeah.
Draft wise, yeah. I mean, he's definitely a blossoming star. Him and Calvin Benjamin, those are like guys going in. Brandon Cooks, guys that are going into next year that are going to be on our fantasy radar for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, look at he's had Tim Wright starting at tight end for 5-6 weeks. Countless tight ends have come and gone, like Michael Rivera could have picked up, Jordan Reed you could have picked up, Delaney Walker. There's whoever the hell. Jordan Reed's out now. Niles Paul is the tight end for the Redskins. You could play him, but you just don't care. So you're right. We shouldn't spend that time. Let's talk about Tony's team. Tony, I think Tony cares a little bit.
Well, I mean, we talked about it again, time in, time out. Peyton Manning's gonna be his crutch.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, guess who gets basically shut out last week?
Oh, they get their clocks cleaned up. Oh man! Now, folks, if you haven't sidebar on that Denver-St. Louis game, quickly, St. Louis wins. I mean, really strong defensive effort. And if you're a fan of the NFL, it's not something that you see these things happen.
Oh yeah, it does definitely happen.
Great teams throw up stinkers every once in a while.
Peyton Manning throws up.
And you're not just. We talked about it before. You're not just going to walk into somebody's house and just steamroll them because you're Peyton Manning and the Broncos.
Exactly.
Folks, if you haven't seen the hit that Emmanuel Sanders took last week, I
mean, I thought he died. I literally thought he got hit and he was dead.
Death blow.
It was. I really wish we could bring it up just to show you guys. Actually, I'll post it on Twitter at Clubhouse Weekly.
Post it on Twitter.
So you guys can see it.
Yeah.
I looked and my jaw dropped. I looked over at you and I was like,
"Oh yeah,
dead."
I'm still shocked that he probably is going to play tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day, actually, very clean hit.
Yeah, it was a great tackle.
It
just looked like
shoulder to shoulder. I mean, but Emmanuel Sanders is not a huge guy.
No, he's actually small dude.
He's a small dude.
Then you got Julian Thomas getting injured and not coming back this week.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts the Broncos offense and hurts Julius Thomas owners obviously because that's somebody. If you took Julius Thomas, you took him in the first 2 rounds. So probably a second round pick for most fantasy owners.
So that's so if you don't have their backup tight end.
Yeah, Jacob Tammy, he's out there.
He's definitely going to play this week.
So you want to give him a little run. Tony's team, I mean, we've talked about it. It's Peyton Manning, Golden Tate, Antonio Gates. He gets underperformances from all 3 of them, so therefore he only puts up 83 points and takes the biggest blowout of the week. So DB puts up $126 this week, and next match. If he cared, he'd make the playoffs, but he doesn't care, so he's not going to.
Our next matchup is your own.
Oh my gosh, we talked about Battle of the Titans last week. Now this kind of like just fell short of like the Battle of the Titans week.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed, and I was looking for big numbers, close numbers, and then it wasn't.
No. I mean, underperformances on both sides. Jay's team, but the funny thing is that Jay's team falls victim to the fact that the Patriots decided all of a sudden they're going to run the ball 50 times.
Yeah.
How great is that for me? Is that Jonas Gray, the practice squad player, who's actually a local kid, went to high school here in Detroit, went to Notre Dame undrafted, and practice squad in Miami, practice squad here, bounced around for a couple years, and then finds himself in New England all of a sudden on Sunday Night Football, running the ball 40 times for 201 yards and 4 touchdowns, when Tom Brady doesn't throw the ball that many times.
Yeah, which hurt me.
Right, but I mean, we're talking about a guy that owns Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski. So he's hurt there. And he also, another thing he deals with last week, I get really fortunate. I can't even lie. He's got Arian Foster and Ronnie Hillman as his normal starting running backs. They both go down to injury. They're not playing. He does a great job, though. We talk about Jay. He pays attention. Fan of the show. He picks up Arian Foster's backup. Alfred Blue. I don't even know. I think it's Alfred Blue.
I think it's Alfred.
Yeah, and he puts up Alfie Blue puts up 15 fantasy points for him. So nice plug in there. He's not able to make up the difference with Steven Jackson.
Yeah, no.
T.Y. Hilton puts up a stinker, and I'm able to get just enough out of. Really, I have to get a couple points out of Antonio Brown on Monday Night Football to pull away, and I do so. Move up to 9-2, clear and free, all by myself in first place. And even if it came down to a tiebreaker now with Jay, I might be okay. I'm only 6 points behind him.
Yeah, I think it'd be all right.
We'll see what happens.
The end of the season is approaching.
Yeah, there's really not much else to say. I mean, I get good production where I usually get it. I get no production where I don't. It's like my stars came out and performed for me. The guys that kind of just the middle of the road guys did nothing for me. That's why I fall short of projection and only get 105 points.
Well, something I do want to take note is we talked about injuries being the fall of Jay, which it happened last week. It looks like depending on where they fall this coming week.
Oh yeah,
may happen again. But we look at his bench and there are 5 goose eggs on it.
I think that that's one thing. I mean, I think Jay's a big fan of the show, and I think he's almost overreaching now.
Yeah, I mean, you picked up Adrian Peterson, dropped him. He's not going to play this year.
Yeah.
Minnesota's nixed him. He's not playing.
Yeah, and I think when we get to his roster next week as it's comprised, we're going to see a couple more, like this Aaron Dobson kid that he puts up at goose egg. Aaron Dobson's an active player.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's just injured right now.
No.
He just didn't play?
He just doesn't play.
Oh.
He's like picking up like the Patriots' 5th receiver.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
I mean,
so he's like
full roster spots.
Yeah, I think he's just like trying to like overthink things. Like maybe if Edelman gets hurt, I can play this guy or whatever. And I mean, I appreciate the thought, but at the end of the day, there's 15, 20 other guys that you should have instead of Aaron Dobson. You should have
getting touches.
You could Kenny Stills, no, I'm sorry, not Kenny Stills. Well, Kenny Stills is the New Orleans guy.
Yeah,
that would have been a good pickup, but he's gone. Kenny Britt from St. Louis, who had a huge, it would have been good, but he's picked up now too. But even outside of that, I mean, I know that there's
Eddie Royal's still on there.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys out there.
You pick up Eddie Royal. Yeah. He's getting touches still.
Oh yeah, next matchup.
This is the final matchup of the week. That's myself versus Rookie of the Year.
And for the first time, Anthony, honestly, Rookie of the Year doesn't make somebody beat her.
Yeah, and I was surprised because I thought, we were less than 0.03 of a point difference going into Sunday night.
Closest projection, yeah.
And I was like, we're both like, I was like,
Well, this is the closest projection, one of the closer projection matchups of the week, and she falls victim. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders has a decent performance for her, but that's only half the game,
and then dies.
Julius Thomas died in the first quarter, so she runs into the injury bug a little bit. But yeah, like I said, I mean, you only put up 97, which, kudos to you. You made somebody beat you, and she just couldn't do it. Brandon, she gets killed by injuries this week. Brandon Cooks is out for the year now.
Yeah.
Julius Thomas not going to play tomorrow.
Not the way I wanted to win, but a win is a win.
A win is a win. Who cares? Emmanuel Sanders questionable for tomorrow, but I think he's going to play. And then, she just hasn't had that game from LaShawn McCoy that he needs to put up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost getting to the point now where, I know she has Trent Richardson on her bench. Ahmad Bradshaw last week dies.
Dead.
Yeah. So Trent Richardson's the only guy out there in Indianapolis. So maybe that's somebody, as crazy as it sounds, and I'm so against it, she can actually consider benching LaShawn McCoy.
And playing Trent Richardson.
It's crazy, but true.
I suffered a bye week this week. All the Cowboys are on a bye, so
yeah.
Two of my
so
big
you
names.
survive your bye week and get a win out of it.
Yeah, which is great because this is the week I thought for sure I was going to lose.
Yeah.
Because I do have so many of the Cowboys, and picking up Eric Decker as another receiver, which I don't know how I feel about that right now because the Jets, they're running the ball a lot right now. They're not really getting the ball.
Interesting too let's just talk about that Jets thing real quick. Out in Buffalo, they get 6 feet of snow, and the Jets get to play the Bills on a neutral site.
Yeah, at Ford Field for free, at that matter.
Actually, I mean, fantasy-wise, you got to love it if you own any of the Jets. I mean, I know I'm a Percy Harvin owner in a different league. I love it. I'm like, good, they're not playing in 6 feet of snow. Yeah. Thank God.
They're playing indoors.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be warm.
Right.
We're probably going to see some of the best production out of these players.
Yeah.
And from the last few weeks, at least.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I could totally see. I could see, actually, the funny thing is I could see that Jets-Bills game ended up being one of the, I wouldn't say it's going to be the highest scoring game of the week, but I could see that game being in the 20s, low 30s. You know? And compared to if they were playing in Orchard Lake, New York, where they have 6 feet of snow right now.
It's 3-0.
Yeah, just who knows if they can snap the freaking ball. You get a good win. Now, we'll get into it. We'll do your projections about your Hope Bernard, Jeremy Hill dilemma.
Yeah. So, that's it for Week 11 recap. Let's take a second here and step back from our fantasy.
It's tough to do about offline.
I know. That's kind of what we do every week, but
what do you got for me?
I want to know your thoughts on quinoa.
Quinoa, folks. If you hadn't had quinoa, it's amazing. Quinoa is it's actually a seed that you prepare, kind of like how you prepare rice, and it's like one of the healthiest things in the world to eat.
Yeah, I don't know how many viewers know that we are cooks by profession.
Yeah.
So when I come into work and Dave's like, "Hey, this is the special with quinoa and some vegetables," I'm like, "The fuck's quinoa?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm not Japanese.
Right.
I ain't trying to serve some specialty dish.
Yeah.
And he hands out this little bag of this brown stuff, and he's like, "Try it." And I take a scoop of it and I try it. It's probably one of the best things I've had in a long time.
It's delicious.
By itself.
Yeah. You throw a little veg in there too, I mean, you could throw a little soy on it if you wanted to. You know what the good thing about quinoa is? Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Just a nice snack.
Whatever you want. And it fills you up. I like the texture of it too.
It's good.
Got a little, that's the thing, is kind of rice. You cook it the same way you cook rice, okay? But when you cook rice rice has got to have stuff with it. You can't just eat rice.
You can't just eat white rice.
Mushy, it doesn't have... You can eat quinoa, it has texture.
Yeah, and it has flavor.
And folks out there, if you look up quinoa, and it'll say you should rinse it and this and that. That is the biggest key to cooking good quinoa. Rinse it, rinse it and rinse it and rinse it, because the starch on the outside of the seed is very, very bitter, and you don't want to taste that.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of food, let's just go into a little bit of your diet.
Oh,
on a day in, day out basis, we live busy lives.
Oh God, yeah, I do. I mean, folks, if you don't know out there, I go to school full time, I work full time. I got a lady friend. There's shit going on. Yeah, so I mean, really, sitting down and having 3 square doesn't happen. I'm just gonna go through my daily routine and where it is that I eat and what I eat. All right. So I wake up in the morning and I make a pot of coffee. I'm sure a lot of you eat a pot of coffee, but you probably pull out a bowl of cereal. Maybe you guys get a Danish. I don't know. You got muffins, Pop-Tarts, whatever the fuck you got at home. I don't have any of that stuff at home. I have coffee with about 3 cigarettes. That's my breakfast. All right. Yeah. I mean, that's just how I get the day going, and that's how I wake up. And I work depending on the day of the week. Well, let's just say it's a work day, right? I mean, if it's a school day, I might have a Snickers bar in the vending machine.
Hey.
Okay. I get to work. I'll usually eat a cup of soup. I mean, we make pretty good soup here.
I mean, I like it. Cioppino.
We make pretty good soup here. We have decent food, so I'll eat a cup of soup. Maybe on a day that I'm I should really eat something, I'll make myself a quick BLT or something like that. I work the rest of the day. I probably snack on like some tortilla chips. A lot of tortilla chips.
I mean, we do have a lot of stuff to put tortilla chips in.
Yeah, like cheese and guacamole and sour cream and pico and
chop sauce.
Yeah, gravy.
I mean, soup.
Yeah, we dip tortilla chips in a lot. Folks, tortilla chips are an underused.
Yeah, it really is.
Utensil,
like,
pretty much.
People are like, give me some breadsticks. I'm like, give me a plate of tortilla chips and a bunch of variety of dips. Right. I'm going
I want some tortilla chips and some cream of asparagus soup, and I'll take it in there. Yeah. A bunch of tortilla chips and junk at work. And then, I don't know, it doesn't really matter if I go home or go elsewhere, but wherever it is that I lay down at night, usually consists of probably like 4 or 5 beers. And
do you lay down at like weird places at night?
No.
You said that like you may end up at like some park across the state, and like you're just like, I want to lay down.
We've got to sleep though. No, I just mean like what domicile I'm sleeping in, like what shelter I'm sleeping in. But no, that'd be kind of cool though. We just like kind of drove around and sleep under this berry tree over here and eat some raspberries. They're actually bushes, but whatever, folks. I would say it's probably one of the worst diets that you could have, but I'm alive. I'm actually in somewhat decent shape somehow.
Stay on your feet.
I stay on my feet. I don't know.
Fall out.
You know, the cool thing actually now is we have apples here.
Yeah, it's pretty legit.
Yeah, I do snack on an apple. Yeah. Like my fruit content's gone up about like 400%.
Content's gone up too.
Yeah, like 400% over the last few weeks since we put some apple stuff on the menu, so I can actually eat an apple.
I like apples.
So yeah, I don't know, Anthony. You got any highlights on your diet you want to touch on?
I mean, I drink whiskey.
Well, do your daily. What's your daily?
Okay, I wake up. I don't have a pot of coffee.
Okay.
I don't have any kind of food.
Okay.
I take a shower. Depending on the day, depending on what I got going on, like if I'm at home and I don't have anything to do, I'm probably gonna have a shot of Jack.
All right.
Like as I get out of the shower.
Standard.
Just standard. That happens probably. Yeah. Or if I work at 5:30, because then I know that it'll
clear the nostrils out.
Yeah. Because then I know that it will be gone by the time I have to be at work.
Yeah. And also depending on what you did the night before, it might kind of straighten up head.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Then I don't eat.
Okay.
I rarely eat a full meal. Like I might have some Cheez-Its here, a Pepsi here, but it all comes down to if I'm working or not. Like if I work, I'll have at least one meal.
Well, yeah,
that's it.
At least you get something out of the deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I go home and then I go home and I go to bed. Maybe have more whiskey.
Okay. But like, so pretty much you're saying like if you eat like a couple of like chicken tenders here, that's like the most.
Today I had 3 kid fingers, and that is all that I had.
That was like that's the highlight of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, folks. So if you don't be like us, like, go eat some. Well, I mean, eat some quinoa. I mean, that's the thing is I think we just gave everybody like the highs and lows of our diet. That like we have the opportunity to like, eat some really good stuff, and we do when we find it. But we're probably both too lazy to actually like go out and buy quinoa and like cook it at home.
Yes.
Yeah. Or too busy. However you want to look at it. All right, Anthony. Going into week 12 already.
Yeah, week 12.
Gosh.
Week 12. We see some teams falling out.
Yeah, I mean,
we
really.
See some teams in that pinnacle.
No, but we still have a battle down there at the bottom. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a dogfight. We're not gonna know who's gonna be in until the last week of the season. 2 weeks left in the regular season. You know about that?
I'm almost like I want to say dumbfounded. It's kind of like boggled. Is that a good one?
Yeah.
It's like I really feel like I don't know where the football season has gone.
It's crazy how quick it just takes.
In and out. A week goes by, and I'm like, oh, well, we're now at week 10. We're now at week 11. Here we are, week 12. We have one more week after this of normal.
I know.
Play.
We're gonna actually talk like in 3 weeks from now. We'll be talking about like, well, they're gone. Well, 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about 4 teams that are gone.
Yeah.
And I think we can get into that real quick. I mean, really, let's talk about the 4 teams we think right now we should both be able to come up. I think J-Rome's out.
J-Rome, Suzanne,
Tony, DB and Suzanne, right? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Those are the teams. And J-Rome out of the 4 of them probably has the best chance, right?
Yeah, he's going to be on that pinnacle.
Yeah,
that 9th, 10th place.
Right. He might need to.
Depending on points, we'll see.
He might need to win both games just to make sure, but we'll see. If he ends up at 6 and 7, I don't know. He could get lucky and get in. We'll see if he's only 6 and 17.
So let's go ahead and start off our predictions with our own game.
We're gonna start with us.
Yeah, let's start with us.
All right. Before,
so that we
I don't even want to look
through.
I don't even want to look at the numbers.
Okay, we won't look at the numbers today. You know what? We both know our squads.
Yeah.
We know what they can do.
Yep.
Gentleman's bet.
All right. I'm all about gentleman's bet. We'll act like gentlemen for a week, I guess.
I mean, I guess. Is that what you do on a gentleman's bet? I thought that you bet something that isn't money.
Oh.
Yeah,
but
you
I got
still
you.
hold up to it. But, I mean, we can act like I'll wear a bow tie to work.
Oh, you would do that if you lose?
Yeah.
You'd wear a bow tie to work.
Yeah, every day until the next Fantasy Weekly.
That's interesting, but I don't think I don't know if I really want to see you wearing a bow tie.
Are you sure?
Frankly, no, I don't think that would really do much for me.
I
Can you even tie a bow tie?
Yeah, I know how to tie it to a flip or a pull or a tub.
Right. Something. Well, obviously, I think I want to give something to our fans.
Oh, yeah. We do got something.
Yeah, I mean, one of us has to embarrass ourselves next week on the show. Whoever loses. I mean, so you're going to embarrass yourself next week on the show.
I mean, I doubt that. But, okay. I mean, in the likely chance that it doesn't happen, I will perform something to our fans. So what do you want to do? You want to recite poetry of the opposite persons?
What, of the opposite? Do I have to come up with a poem like about your fantasy squad if I lose?
You can let's do that. Or you could do like some William Shakespeare for me.
All right.
And you gotta act it out. Like Billy Madison, to be or not to be. Okay.
All right, I can do that. I can do that. So I've got to recite poetry if I lose.
Yes.
All right. What am I going to make you do? All right. I'm going to make you sing the theme to Full House.
Oh, all right.
If you lose. Yeah. You know how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You would probably do it for free, but
yeah, I got it.
But you got to get into it.
Oh, I'm going to stand on the fire pit and be
all
like...
All right. And that's a deal.
That's a deal right there. Gentlemen's bet, guys.
All right. I like it. Oh, real quick, I will actually talk about a couple things about my roster. Big decision tomorrow. I think I'm going to sit Matt Stafford.
Good decision. Playing New England.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's the thing is that Matt Stafford. I mean, we kind of I kind of thought this guy is kind of somebody who start every week. I'm starting Josh McCown over Matt Stafford tomorrow.
Tampa Bay plays
Chicago. Josh McCown, literally every game that he's played the entire game, he's put up more than 20 fantasy points.
Do it.
Yeah. Mike Evans, hot, white hot.
You're gonna see them connect a lot.
So. I mean, I'm going to go with it. I'm starting Josh McCown tomorrow over Matt Stafford. So the only thing I'm worried about is that somehow that ends up biting me in the ass. But who cares? I mean, really, Matt Stafford hasn't put up a huge game yet this year outside of week 1. So, what are you really going to do?
No, that's true.
Yeah. Talk about distractions. Yeah. Anyway.
Love people.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I'm really, I get the Cowboys back. It's a huge boost in my performance meter. I'm looking for DeMarco Murray to be,
right,
and Des Bryant to play the Giants.
Well, right, and I mean you're missing 3 guys, right?
Yeah,
yeah, 3 of your best players, so you get them all back.
Yeah, I have the dilemma between Jeremy Hill and Gio Bernard.
That's interesting.
But that's no longer a dilemma because the coach has came out and said that Jeremy Hill will get majority of the touches.
Oh, yeah.
And Bernard will see those 3rd and 4th down red zone opportunities. Just because he's more the running back that, quick screen pass and will run the ball.
He'll have to be the 3rd down back for him, but the one thing you should concern yourself about in a situation like that, it's very fluid. Meaning that if Bernard, whatever attempts he gets early on, he makes the most out of them, you can see those roles reverse like that.
Yeah, instantly. So,
but
I think they're really gonna nurse, even though he's had 3 weeks off. I think they're still gonna nurse Bernard. That hip injury is not something to mess around with.
I would, they have a lot invested in Gio. I would definitely think that that's something that they would take it easily. And I mean, that's from all accounts, they're gonna take it easy on him. I am in your situation in my other league. I'm starting Jeremy Hill as well over Giovanni Bernard. But it's something you have to keep your eye on. It's something that has to concern you.
Yeah, definitely. But I think I'm set in stone in that, I obviously don't have to start Brandon Oliver again this week.
Right.
With DeMarco being back. The only position I have at buying is Greg Olsen, but I pick up Delaney Walker off of waivers. He is coming off concussion, but says he's played a full week practice. He's looking good.
Yeah.
Should be all right going into
right.
the game.
The only thing I worry about there is this is Tennessee.
Yeah.
Whatever. You do what you got to do there. Actually, fun thing. Did you get to see Greg Olsen at all this week? He's on his bye, right? So he gets to he's doing the ESPN tour.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on all the talk shows in the morning and stuff. Greg Olsen looks like he could run for president.
Dude, he's a good-looking guy.
He's got the jawline of of Rushmore, Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Dude, it's it's this big.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's crazy. I can't believe how big his jawline is. And he was dapper, suit, just dressed to the nines. Dude, I think this guy's got a career in politics when he's done.
I would vote for him.
I'm telling you, this guy's gonna go into politics when he's done. He's even got the whole back. He's got a kid that's really sick.
The
some
heart
sort of
condition.
and
looks just like him too. He's got that jawline. The kid does.
Yeah, hope he grows up to be old. That'd be fun.
Moving into the next matchup, we got DB versus Bitches Love Cheese.
Well, we can talk about this. You know what? Actually, this is a matchup that's up for grabs. On the surface, the way we talk about these teams, it would seem like something that would be one-sided matchup for Emily. But Emily's dealing with some problems this week. We talked about Julius Thomas. We talked about Emmanuel Sanders, right?
Mm-hmm.
She loses Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
Injury bug bit her hard last week.
It's true.
So I think she has to go out and she's got to. Julius Thomas probably not. All accounts, he's not going to play tomorrow. Okay.
No, yeah, he's already out.
So we talked about the tight end situation. She had Heath Miller on her bench, but he's on a bye.
Yeah, picks up Niles Paul.
Right. So she picks up Niles Paul, has to plug him in. Who knows? She could get lucky there.
Still better than Tim Wright.
Oh yeah, still better. Still better than Tim Wright. But what are we talking about here though? Really,
she does start Trent Richardson.
And looks like right now she's got Emmanuel Sanders out. So maybe she's waiting for the morning.
Yeah,
to see if he's actually going to play or not. And if he doesn't play, she could be in some real trouble. Let's say that Muslim is probable. So yeah, that's probably someone we're going to see back in the lineup tomorrow.
Yeah, all signs point towards him playing.
Okay, well, but still, at the end of the day, she's dealing with some serious injury problem. If Emmanuel Sanders takes any hit tomorrow, he's not playing.
Die.
Yeah, he's not playing the rest of the game. So it's a tough matchup to call. Really, Yahoo's got to project pretty close, right?
Yeah, 3-point difference, but I think what we're going to see is you know what? He does have Josh Gordon in.
He's got a couple of stinker positions, but he's really got a couple of he's
hard hitting positions.
Yeah.
You got Odell Beckham, you got Jeremy Macklin, both going to put up over projected.
Yeah.
And now Josh Gordon. Who knows?
Right, I'm going to steer at that quarterback matchup, and that's what I'm going to say the barometer for this week is going to be.
Kaepernick,
yeah, I'm going to say. Those are both kind of quarterbacks that have been down this year, not meeting projections week in and week out. I'm going to say that whoever outperforms that week. So let's take a quick look at those two quarterbacks, where they're playing and what they're doing, and then I'll make my prediction here.
Yeah, we got Jay Cutler at home versus Tampa Bay, and Colin Kaepernick at home versus the Redskins.
Oh, so they both have great matchups.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought that was going to make it easier for me. Oh, God.
Projected .01 difference by Yahoo.
Wow. I'll go with Emily, and I'm going to say that Kenny Stills catches a touchdown pass on Monday Night Football to put her over the top.
All right.
A bye week pickup, or she picks him up because of injury this week. What do you got?
I'm going to go with Emily also, but I'm going to go with Trent Richardson doing all of her work.
Okay.
20-plus points.
20 points for Trent Richardson. I got Kenny Stills catching a touchdown for her on Monday Night Football. I got Josh Gordon going under 5 fantasy points this week.
You heard it here.
Next matchup.
He's back. Our next matchup, J-Rome versus San Antonio. Two teams we see not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, but, we will go through every matchup. Just like the Red Zone goes through every touchdown. We will bring you every fantasy matchup. So, neither of them are dealing with buys.
This is full lineup.
This is straight up. Yahoo's just Jeremy's going to win by 10.
I disagree with Yahoo. I think Peyton Manning is going to have a huge week this week, coming off of last week, don't you?
Yeah.
Is there any way Peyton doesn't put up 35 fantasy points this week?
No, not especially. Well, you know what? I don't want to say that because Miami's defense has surprised me the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, they're going to get surprised by the best quarterback in history of the NFL
well,
this
that's
week.
True.
I don't care who's playing for Peyton this week. He's got a week to prepare, a week to sit on that loss. Peyton Manning put up 7 fucking points.
He does sit on it too.
Dude, he's not happy.
I'm going with San Antonio.
Yeah, and it puts a stake in J-Rome.
Yeah, J. Rome sits down and owes me $20 after this week.
Oh, a little side action. You know how J. Rome loves the side action.
He's lost.
Hey, how many chicken breasts we have left in the bag? Like 4?
Yeah, he's going to lose that. You owe him $1.
Yeah.
And then we got our next matchup, so Miles versus Amanda.
Now, here we go. Now, this is a matchup I'm interested to see. Both teams that I think we've had run into bad luck early in the season, running into good luck. Both these teams run into stinker matchups last week. Miles gets himself up to 4-7. Amanda gets up to 5-6. Now, I think that if we break down this matchup, I think that for funsies, if there's going to be fun for us this week, Miles wins this matchup, and we've got a gaggle at 5-7. I mean, we could end up in a situation where we have Miles, J. Rome, Tony, Amanda, even DB
coming up next.
All at 5-7, and we've just got like 1,000 scenarios of who can make the playoffs.
Yeah. So
I mean, I'm kind of pulling for Miles to win this week just for that. So that there's just, I want these guys to look at the computer and not even be able to mathematically figure out how it is that they get into the playoffs, except that they have a chance somehow.
Yeah. Let's look at just real quick. Miles has his whole team. Amanda is missing Le'Veon Bell. So she picks up Blount, who went to New England.
So she's got LeGarrette Blount, who's playing for the first week with the Patriots. Okay.
But I do believe he's going to play.
I mean, I don't know. Jonas Gray got sent home for practice. Bill Belichick is such an asshole that he's such an arrogant prick. And he's a great NFL coach. I mean, but he's an arrogant prick. That he might want to just like rub it in everybody's face and say, look, I picked this guy up on Friday.
And watch him score 2 touchdowns.
And I just had him score 2 touchdowns and run for 200 yards. Yeah. He might do that. That could happen. I mean, I don't know if man is actually thinking about it that way, but that's the thing that I'll watch and see on tomorrow.
I want to see that 5-card draw for the last 2 spots.
Oh my god, I think it would be amazing.
So I'm going to go with Miles on this one. Miles, don't let us down. You've let us down pretty much all year. Yeah. This is your chance to pull through for us.
I don't know. You know what? I'm going to go with Amanda. We'll disagree on this one. I just think that...
Changing your mind on
No, I'm not changing my mind. I said I'm pulling for Miles. I want to see that just
You think her luck continues this week?
You know what? I think her bad luck, I think she's going to run into... I think her bad luck's over. Her team's too good. It's too good. Like, I've seen it. I've been playing fantasy long enough that when I look at a roster and I say, this is a playoff roster, 9 times out of 10 they make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And 9 times out of 10 they do what they should do by the end of the year. Yeah. And it's too good. You got running backs like that. I know she's missing one this week. I don't care. At the end, the cream rises to the top, and she has one of the better rosters in the league.
Yeah,
I think she has the 4th most points in the
league. No, she has 3rd. I think she is 3rd.
3rd? Okay. I know she has more than...
I think
she has more than M.
And she has just over Bread.
Okay, then
so
she's
I think
3rd.
She's 3rd Bread than me, than Emily.
Then she's 3rd. I mean, I know she's running bad luck. I know she has the most points against her, which is something you can't control. So, I mean, at the end of the year, the cream rises to the top. She drafted well, so... Yeah, I'll go with Amanda just out of spite. Or not out of spite, just out of the trend that I've seen in fantasy before.
All right, our next matchup is Brad versus Susanna.
Brad.
I think we have to go through this one.
Yep.
Brad, she's fishing.
Yep, she's gone fishing. She might be trolling right now.
Oh, she's just like, I got something.
Yeah, I mean, Savannah, it was fun playing with you, and we can't wait to play again with you next year, maybe.
This last matchup is probably going to be the closest one, I think.
Okay.
It's Jamie versus Jay's team. We see Jamie finally picking up stride.
Yeah. I'm happy for her. I think it's something that she's put... it's funny. Like, there's 2 ways. Two things you could look at Amy, and we've been critical of her with some of the starts that she's made. But the reason that she's actually had decisions to make is that she's been out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Making pickups and trying to figure out if she could, find lightning in a bottle with some of these players. And kudos to her. But I think she's kind of settled on a roster. Looks like she's comfortable starting Kelvin Benjamin.
Well, he's on a bye, so he's gonna play. She's gonna play Torrey Smith.
Oh, that's right. Ooh, that sucks.
Over Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, Fitz might not play tomorrow. He's a game-time decision. He's a game-time decision, and he's probably a 4 o'clock start.
Yep.
So you can't really fuck around with that.
Nope, you have to.
You have to sit him.
So the rosters are in.
What's our point projections?
106 Jamie, 110 Jay. And I think what's gonna hinder is if we're gonna see where the Patriots go with the ball. And if they run the ball again, I think we could see Jay take another loss here.
We could. But what do you actually think?
I think Jay's going to put up a $125.
The return of Jay happens?
Yeah, because we just talked about Peyton Manning coming back off the loss, well done in a week, Demaryius Thomas is going to be open.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I go with Jay. I don't know if Jay puts up a huge number.
Aaron Foster's not back. He's
got the backup, right?
Yeah, he's playing blue still.
Playing blue.
Little
Alfie. Steve Jackson. Steven Jackson, actually, Falcons, we talked about them a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
He's kind of found a little bit of, like, the fountain of youth here the last few weeks.
Yeah, wow, yeah. That's
like, he's putting up double-digit fantasy points every week again all of a sudden. It's kind of insane. So I'll go with Jay there. But I disagree. I think Jay falls into, like, that 100 to 110 point range. I think it's a very close matchup. I'm going to go Jay 108, Jamie 101.
All right, well.
That'll do it for Week 12 predictions, Anthony. What do you say we just... I had like 2 games that I want to talk about here real quick. We'll talk about a couple of NFL games here and get out of here. What do you say?
Right. Sounds good to me.
I think this is one thing we mentioned. I talked to you about it earlier in the week. I think that the Arizona-Seattle game is a very interesting matchup.
You think that Seattle defense is going to put up 30 points?
I do. I think Seattle's defense is going to come up strong. I think Arizona comes up there. Really, I mean, if you think about it last week, the Cardinals and Lions played last week. Game that, around here you pay a little bit of attention to.
Yeah.
The team. The Cardinals they win a big game. I mean, don't get me wrong. They go to 9-1. I mean, definitely they're in the NFL playoffs. They're not going to miss the playoffs now. They're probably going to win that division, but they win that game 14-6. They score 14 points in the first, 5 minutes of that game, and get shut down the rest of the way. Drew Stanton throws 2 touchdown passes in the first 5 minutes of the game, but then goes on to throw a couple interceptions. A little shaky with the ball, a little shaky on special teams. I see Arizona going up there and getting their clocks cleaned, folks. I think this game is...
It's in Seattle, right?
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, in Seattle, by everybody, anything, you listen to anybody in the NFL, they say Seattle has the best home field advantage in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Loudest place by far.
Yeah. I think Seattle...
Drew Stanton. We're talking about Drew Stanton, guys. That's who's going to play up there.
Yeah. I think Seattle's definitely going to win. I think 30 points is a little...
I go 31-3.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
9-2 Cardinals, right?
Oh, it'll be the 9-2. Down? Yeah. No, it'll be, they're the 9-1 Cardinals. They'll be the 9-2 Cardinals.
All
yeah.
All right.
What do you think?
I mean, I think Seattle's definitely going to win.
You got a number on the game? Do you think my analysis is incorrect? Do you think that Seattle's defense doesn't blow up over them? I'm going
to go 17-10 Seattle.
I'm going to go out on a limb as well. I'm going to say Seattle's defense scores 2 touchdowns.
Okay. I'm going to go 17-10 then.
Like a fumble recovery for a touchdown and a pick 6.
Okay.
Which is probably going to put me over the top against you in fantasy.
Probably not.
17-6?
17-6. Or no, 17-10.
17-10?
Yeah.
All right.
I think Cardinals are going to break out a touchdown early. And then a field goal later on, probably second half of the game. Yeah. And you're going to see Seattle make that break probably right before halftime. And then kind of keep it.
That's where you got to go with this one, huh?
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. Where are your beloved Eagles playing this week?
They're playing at home.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They got a team that they're playing against? Or are they just on a bye?
Oh, no, they're not on a bye.
No? They play against somebody this week?
Believe it or not, they play against Tennessee Titans.
How? Wow, we'll talk about a feel-good game for the Eagles.
So, yeah, if you're not playing the Eagles, you may want to play the Eagles. They are at home versus the Titans. Not saying it's,
Nothing in the NFL is given.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really, the Eagles better not go in there and think they're going to... I mean, really, because, Tennessee puts up a good fight last week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I'm not saying it's, they're going to go in there and, sit them down and show them who's boss, but I do think they're going to win, and it will probably be by 20 points.
All right. Yeah.
I think you're going to see the Eagles' offense come back at home after the loss last week.
And the Titans, LaShawn McCoy should have a huge week this week.
Yeah.
Shouldn't he? But I think that...
Jordan Matthews, Jeremy Maclin, LaShawn McCoy, those 3 players, 20-plus each.
We talked about Le'Veon Bell on the show before.
Yeah.
Last week, Pittsburgh, they fed him the ball. Yeah. And I know that Chip Kelly likes to do his run and gun and da-da-da-da. Don't you think it would suit them well this week to
feed the ball to Darren Sproles and LaShawn?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that would do them a lot of good. And I'm not saying they don't have to control the clock, but I know they like to run a play every 20 seconds. But I'd be just running a play every 20 seconds.
One of my favorite things the Eagles do, though, they haven't done it as much with Mark Sanchez, but with Nick Foles, when they want to control that clock, that you see the whole line go down and then look up at the coach to get another play read, but you see the whole line do it at once.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they snap the ball.
Right.
That wastes, 10 seconds, and then,
Right. Well, I agree with you, though. I think that I think the Eagles win this game pretty easily. I think Tennessee blew their wad last week. They had a real opportunity to win a huge game at home. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to Tennessee, but I mean, still a home game in front of their fans.
Yeah.
They had it in their grasp and let it go away against Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that they're definitely going to be on a letdown this week. The Eagles, coming off of an embarrassing loss at Green Bay, probably going to be looking to show the rest of the league that, hey, we still are 7-3. We're probably still going to win this division, and we're somebody to be reckoned with. And another thing I want to actually talk about the Steelers, and I think it's an interesting fact that I put out to our viewers right here. Now, I've been known to do a little bit of sports betting.
Oh, it's better. Ooh, let's not talk about betting.
Just once in a while, I throw a little bet out there. Okay?
Once in a while, I do too.
No. It has nothing to do with you. I was actually perusing online this week, kind of looking at some futures bets, things I might want to invest in. I saw that the Steelers, we both agree, the Steelers are legit NFL team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're better than the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals are 9-1.
Yeah.
They're better than the Lions.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not. I would put the Steelers closer to the Patriots and Packers. Like if this is the Patriots and Packers up here, and then the Steelers are here, they're close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other teams that are the Cardinals and Lions and Saints and Falcons and all the other have-nots, they're down here. The other playoff teams. So the Steelers are going to be a playoff team. They're closer to the top echelon. Great coaches, good running game, experienced Super Bowl winning quarterback, right?
Yeah.
2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. What do you think the odds are on the Steelers winning the Super Bowl? No, I know I haven't even briefed you about this. This is off the cuff, but I just humor me. Is it 5-1, 10-1? What do you think? 15-1. What do you think?
15-1.
28-1.
What?
To win the Super Bowl?
What?
28-1. Yeah. So needless to say, folks. I mean, if you wanted to invest some money in a futures bet, that is one I suggest to invest in. And I will tell you right here on Weekly. Well, due to tax purposes, I won't tell you exactly how much money I put on the Steelers to win the Super Bowl. But let's just say it was decent. It was a decent number. And I'm a big-time Steelers fan right now. You see them in the playoffs.
Maybe seeing me may put a little money down on it.
28-1.
Yeah, I mean
that's just too. They've won 2 championships in the last 10 years.
Yeah, so you'd expect it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Anthony. I thought that was a good nugget to end with.
That's a good one. Yeah, thanks for the information.
Yeah, cool.
And,
get out there, folks.
Out there, yeah, definitely. How about thanking some sponsors?
I love thanking some sponsors. I'm going to thank, we always thank Clubhouse here. We've already done it throughout the show. I'm going to thank my favorite sponsor as always, though, L&M Cigarettes, because they only taste expensive, folks. Get out there.
I want to thank a new one today, and that's a Red Man Chewing Tobacco.
Whoa.
The finest flavors in a leaf tobacco.
Now, what do you do when you go into a store, and how do you ask for...
Well, you got to say it right.
Okay.
If you don't say it right, they're going to be like, we don't have that here. You got to walk up to them and say, hi, I'd like some Red Man Chewing Tobacco.
Chewing tobacco.
Chewing tobacco. I mean, it's you got to say it like that.
Tobacco.
If you say tobacco, they're going to be like, oh, well, we have some of this snuff. And this. No, you want the chewing tobacco.
And that's the stuff.
And then you also want a pack of Big League Chew.
Oh, and what do you call that? When you do the gum and the dip? Isn't it like a
I had a name for it.
Yeah, I thought you had a name. It's like
remember.
I don't know, like the juicy chew or something like
that. It's really like, it's like.
These baseball players, they've got all the creative stuff to do with chewing tobacco. I never even knew it. And that's the stuff too. It's like the bag.
It's a loose leaf bag,
that's
natural
the bag
tobacco
stuff. So you got to get out there and get some of that stuff. I'm gonna go with a new one. I know we're at Clubhouse BFT here, but we do carry a few of Anheuser-Busch's finest, and I'm gonna go with the king of beers, Budweiser, because it's the great American lager.
It is. You know what? Well, that wraps it up tonight for Clubhouse Weekly.
I'm David Robinson.
Anthony Johnson.
Good night, folks.
Good night.